Hey there, Pursuing Freedom friends, and thanks as always for tuning in today. We've got a great episode today with Michelle Pais out of New Jersey. She's the CEO and founder of Signature Realty NJ, and she and her team have been ranking top producers in their state for a number of years. She's got an awesome story of jumping into real estate at the age of 21 and just hustling until things clicked. And I just can't wait to introduce you. So let's go ahead and jump in. Michelle, thanks for being on the show today.
Hi, I'm
How
so
are you?
excited. Thanks for having me.
This is going to be fun. So we always start at the beginning. Just tell us a little bit about your backstory. I know that you got into real estate at 21, and how did that come to be, and kind of how's your story been since then?
Yeah, so I got into it completely as a backup plan. I didn't grow up thinking, I wanted to sell real estate for the rest of my life. That was definitely not the career that I thought I wanted to do. So a little background, I was 21, I was working as a secretary at a local real estate brokerage. Now, I do not come from a family of wealth or influence, and so I had to pay for my education. So at the time, I was working as a secretary for this brokerage. I was also going to school. I thought that I wanted to pursue law, and I decided to get my real estate license only as a backup plan in case the law didn't work out. So at the time, not knowing anybody, I not even from New Jersey. Little background on that: I'm from New York originally. At 13 years old, my parents decided to retire and go to Portugal, and so I went with them. So I was, at 18, I was forced to come back to the States. My parents decided they want to open up a restaurant, and so I ended up in Jersey at 18, and then going to school. Decided again to at 21 to just take on a job. I saw an opening for a secretarial position at a local real estate brokerage. So got that, and then at that time I had no choice but to hustle, and I hit the ground running. So I remember at the time I had two things going for me. My personality was my logo, and my business card, or I should say my smile was my logo and my personality was my business card. And so for 3 years, I knocked on doors, canvassing neighborhoods. I wanted to meet as many homeowners as possible because I wanted them to think of me when they decided to sell their home. So fast forward, right, till today, I've been in this business now, for oh my God, I can't believe I can even say this. It's been 17, 18 years. And it's been great. A lot of ups, a lot of downs, a lot of challenges, a lot of wins, a lot of losses, but overall it's been great. So I opened the firm. I was 30 years old, so it's going on to its 9th year. Signature Realty NJ is the firm I founded, and we're based out of New Jersey.
I love it. So a couple questions for you. Were you studying pre-law then when you were in college and started in the real estate business?
Yeah, no, I was actually at the time I was going to school, and I'm going to say I'm about 3 credits away from graduating. So I was getting my bachelor's, and then the next step was to apply to law school. And that's when things shifted for me, because during that time I had sold my first home, and I remember the feeling. It was so euphoric. I'm like, oh my God, this is what I want to do. So I never even went back. I gave up the career, going to school. I also gave up working as a secretary, and I just dived right into real estate. So realty became my full-time gig. And one thing to know in this business is that, you get what you put into it. If you go into this thinking you're going to do this part-time, expect part-time results. So in order to be successful, you have to do it 100%. And it's not even a 40-hour work week. I don't even know what 40 hours looks like. My weeks, were 80 to 100 hours a week in this business. And right now I still work just as hard, but you really have to put in a lot of effort and time to be able to build this business, because in real estate, you're your business, you're your own brand. You may work for a large company or a company, but you can't forget that you're independent. You're an independent contractor. So you are your own brand, and you get whatever you put into it. So to me, once I found out, okay, this is what I want to do, I was so passionate about it that I had no choice. I just dove right in.
I love that. Actually, it's funny because you answered my question, because I've interviewed a few folks that started as young as you did and then realized the opportunity, and they didn't finish college because it was like, I don't really need to finish college. I can just dive into real estate and have massive results at a very young age, which is incredible. I love that you had that initiative to do so. But let me ask you, when you first started, you mentioned you were a secretary. And so what did the transition look like from you being, hey, I'm doing admin support? Like, how long were you in that role before you saw what everyone was doing and said, I want to do what they're doing. I want to go sell homes?
Yeah. So it was interesting. So I was doing the admin for about a year. And that actually gave me an upper hand because I was able to learn all the back end stuff, right? The inputting listings into the MLS, the attorney reviews and all that stuff. So I learned that, the back end of the business. And then I remember, you know, being in the brokerage that I was in, seeing all these other agents doing well, but, you know, not necessarily having the right work ethic. And I said to myself, well, if they can do it, I can do it too, because that's one thing that I had that my parents always instilled with me, is to have a very, you know, strong work ethic. So I said, you know what, if I can take the education and take my work ethic and, you know, factor in all the other stuff that I had going, then I could do this. And it's interesting because I remember telling my mom, like, you know what, I did it. I decided I'm going to get into real estate. And I remember her telling me, I'm like, you know, she goes, yeah, I think you'll be okay. You know, just don't give up school though. You know, it's your backup plan. If you sell 1 or 2 homes a year, just consider yourself lucky. So that year, I ended up selling 25
Wow.
homes my first year. And I think at the point I was rookie of the year for my firm. And then fast forward till today, you know, I've always grown. So every year it just kind of doubled and doubled and doubled. And today, this year, last year, I should say, in 2018, I ranked within the top 3 agents of the state for total sales volume, and currently ranked within the top 1% of the nation. And I think last year alone, we sold over 225 homes. And this is me and my small team. I do own a brokerage, but I divide the two. So I have, you know, Signature Realty, which we house about 100 agents. And then I have my own individual production because I am a producer. That's what I love to do. So, you know, it's been crazy. And be careful what you wish for.
Yeah.
Careful what you wish for. You know, I was on stage yesterday at the Grow with Gorga event. You guys may know the Real Housewives of New Jersey, Melissa and Joe Gorga. They put on this event and they had asked me to be a speaker. And I remember saying this yesterday to the audience, you know, success to me has a whole different meaning than it did when I first started. If you had asked me what success looked like years ago, I'd give you a completely different answer. Success to me today isn't about how much money you have in your bank account. It's about being free and being happy. Being free to be able to wake up every morning and do what you love to do, and being happy in your relationships, being happy in your work, being happy, you know, with your relationship with your spouse and your friends. And that's really what, you know, success means to me. And, you know, all of you out there that are looking to, you know, go into this journey in real estate. And if you were like me, that is very ambitious and a go-getter, base your decisions on your values and not on your bank account.
Well, it's interesting you say that because I love the Miracle Morning Routine. I don't know if you've ever read that book by Hal Elrod, but anyways, I get up in the morning, I do this morning routine, and I was writing this morning about that idea of being free and being happy, and realizing that in this journey, you mentioned ups and downs, like we all go through ups and downs. And I think that if you are ambitious and driven, we get so caught up in where we're trying to get to sometimes that we almost create our own stress and anxiety or unhappiness or whatever. And if we could just stop for a minute each day and realize that all the blessings we already have, and realize that we are free and we are doing what we love. If you love what you're doing in this business, which I know I do, and it sounds like you do, you have to enjoy this journey and this process, even when you're going through the downs or the challenges, because it's a blessing. I think this business is amazing. Like you can create whatever opportunity you want. And when people are getting started and they're nervous and hungry and wanting to figure out where to get the deals from or whatever, it's hard to believe that you can create whatever you want, but you really can if you're willing to do the work. Let's talk about that. So you make the transition from I'm a secretary to if they can do it, I can do it. I'm diving right in. You mentioned that you did some door knocking. What kind of guidance and mentoring were you receiving at that time in terms of like what to do? Did you just study everybody and then do it better? Or did you have somebody saying, here's what you need to do, Michelle, get out there and do it?
So a little bit of both. At the time, there was really, today you have social media, you have YouTube, you have all these different seminars. It's a lot easier now to get trained than it was back then. Back then, I mean, we barely even had the internet. So yes, I did have a mentor, which happened to be my broker at the time. And so he definitely showed me, the ropes, showed me how to get into the business. But everyone has their own style. So I had to find out what mine was. What worked for him didn't necessarily work for me. So what I did was I shadowed other top producers and people that I looked up to, and I took a little bit of everything. It's interesting because they say, remember growing up in school, teachers would tell you that it would be wrong to copy off the smartest person in the class, right? Don't copy off that person, especially in a test, could be considered cheating.
Yeah.
In this business, my advice is that to go out and copy off of everyone that you feel is more knowledgeable and successful and that you look up to. Anyone that you think that's made it in this business. Copy off that person, shadow that person. It's okay. And also, going back to that, 16, 17 years later, I'm still getting coached. Even the star players have a coach. So it's important to keep coaching, keep growing, adapting. We're in such a changing, the business is changing every single day, right? With technology and all these, different platforms, and it's really important that you're nimble. And more importantly than anything, you need to educate yourself. You need to surround yourself with people that are like-minded, people that are going to share in your successes, that are entrepreneurial, that that have a passion for similar things that you're passionate about as well. So mindset's very important. Being constantly educating yourself, going to conferences, and just having this sphere. Tony Robbins said, I went to his event years ago, and he said it best, you never want to be the smartest person in the room, right? Because you want to be able to learn from other people and surround yourself with a group of people that are similar, that have similar mindset to yours. And that's really important. Power of proximity.
Yeah, I love that. Who's coaching you now? Is it a real estate specific company or?
Yeah, so I get my inspiration from people that actually aren't in the business. I'm very fortunate that I have my husband, Jonathan Steingraver. He's my coach. And so, he's someone that I look up to, and, that he's an excellent coach. And he's also my partner in the business. So we got married a couple years ago, and he came he's a big part of Signature. He kind of runs all the team and the day-to-day. So he's our coach. But I also, I get a lot of my inspiration from people that are just generally entrepreneurs, not necessarily in the real estate business. Because I'm also a marketer. I love marketing. So, I don't go to a real estate event, right? And I've gone to the Tom Ferries and whatnot, but, I go to different events that don't necessarily have to do so much with real estate, but that marketing, for example, that's something that in this business, we're all marketers. So I take a lot of time to going out to different seminars. I remember last year going to Gary Vaynerchuk's Agent 2021, right? So again, just different influences out there that I follow and admire.
My God, I love Gary Vee. I went to one of his events with Tony Robbins last year, and it was like, he fires me up in a good way. Love it.
Love him.
So let's talk about mindset, because I think this is a really huge part of our industry and how people get either make it or don't make it. And it's mindset, because every day is a struggle to make sure that you stay positive. What kinds of things are you doing? As you mentioned, struggles and challenges and things like that, which are inevitable in this business and in life in general. What do you do to control your mindset and be in the driver's seat when it comes to staying positive and staying forward focused?
Yeah. Well, that's not easy. That is very challenging, because in this business, everything's changing, right? You have great days, you have bad days. Life throws your curveball. Sometimes it's a very stressful environment. You're constantly putting out fires, especially when you are a team leader, right? So at the end of the day, the mindset always starts, I take a step back and I ask myself, okay, what is my big why? Why am I doing this, right? And the answer is always the same. I'm really passionate about it. So it stems with passion. You have to be able to love what you do, because if you don't, you will burn out, and eventually you're just gonna, give up. And so it really stems from loving and having that passion of just, being able to go out there and not lose focus on why you got in the business in the first place. I mean, I love helping people, right? That's why I got into this business. So there's certain things that you have to, sometimes, when you start growing in life, there's different challenges and different opportunities, but never forget how you started and where you came from. And
I love that.
Yeah. And staying humble is very, very important. Staying humble and not letting go of your core values. Be true to yourself.
Yeah. I think it's a book called The Ideal Team Player that says humble, hungry, and smart. Like, not only the things that you want to possess and, show to the world, but also like the kind of folks you want to surround yourself with as you build a team. Yeah. Looking for humble, hungry, and smart. And I love that. So, but let's talk about how you mentioned, you're a team leader, and I didn't realize that your team was that enormous. So you have over 100 agents, you mentioned?
I do. So I own Signature Realty, and we have over 100 agents, but I also play another role. I'm a team leader of the Michelle Pais group. Within my group, I have a total of, I'm going to say 10, 11 between agents and admin support. So I have two roles. So my husband right now, he's kind of handling the Signature, those agents in the back end. I'm strictly just focused more on the Michelle Pais group because I am a producer. And again, this is why I got into this business, right? To produce, not so much to manage. So we run two. So the agents right now, it's a big group, but I personally, I head up the Michelle Pais group.
Well, it's interesting that you mentioned that, is that because a lot of folks in our industry struggle with making that transition from I'm an awesome real estate agent to I'm now a leader, I'm a manager, or I'm a business owner. I mean, they're a different set of skills altogether. And so many folks make that transition from I'm a great agent to I'm a leader. And sometimes I'm a mediocre leader, and then I have all these other headaches, and then I see folks want to shrink it down. So how did you guys, successfully transition from wherever you were before to launching this? And then, like, where are you headed from here? Is there no limit to the number of agents you could see being a part of your organization, your team? Like, what does that journey look like for you, going from agent to business owner, leader?
Yeah. So the transition, it's interesting because I think that the best agents don't necessarily make the best leaders because we are so focused in the business. And then all of a sudden it's like, okay, wait, you have to become a leader. You have to work on the business. And it's a really hard transition. And this is something that I struggled with. So, I took a step back and I was honest with myself. I said, okay, what do I really love to do? What do I enjoy? And the answer is producing. That's what I enjoy to do. I am a team leader, but I'm also very involved. So my day it starts with me getting on the phone and speaking to clients and working in the business. That is why I brought my husband in on this journey, because he's more of a management and he's more of a leader. And so we kind of separated roles where he is now the leader and I'm more of still the producer, but leading my own team. Now it's a big difference by when you lead your own army than when you're leading an entire brokerage. It's two different mindsets, right? When you're leading a brokerage, your job, your main focus is to recruit, train agents. That's your main focus. When you're a team leader, it's a little bit different. Your team is an extension of yourself. And so I find that the biggest and the best use of my time and of my, of who I am is really as a team leader, whereas I'm not necessarily giving up the day-to-day of the role. I'm still very actively involved, but I manage a small team. And going back to your question, my vision is to keep my team small. I do not want to grow my team exponentially because then I'll just be a broker. Right? I mean, if I wanted a large team, then I would just stay being a broker of an office. And I'm all about quality over quantity. Once you start hiring, bodies, understand that your quality of service also gets diminished. And I'm really big on customer service. I want my fans to be raving fans. So my clients need to be my raving fans. So I'm really big on getting that 5-star review at the end of every transaction. And I can't do that if I all of a sudden become corporate or if I have, thousands and thousands of agents. You start to lose that a little bit. And to me, service is everything. Your name is your brand. And it's important to me. that we keep it small. Quality over quantity, for sure.
I love that. Now, is your company Signature, is that confined to one county, or are you spread out all over New Jersey, outside of New Jersey?
Yeah, we're all over the state. So we have 2 offices, and we service the entire city of New Jersey. We have different MLSs, from Bergen County all the way down to Monmouth County, and we have agents that that work all different areas. The beauty about it is that each of our agents, they specialize in the towns they actually live in, which is cool.
Awesome. And then how did you attract the folks that are part of your team? I mean, how do you find that quality over quantity? I think that's a huge fear with a lot of real estate agents, that they get to a certain level, they're doing 50, 60, 70 closings a year, they're totally bottlenecked and overwhelmed, but the thought of finding someone that would measure up to the level of service that they've, branded themselves to deliver, that there's a fear. How do you find that quality? Are these folks that you knew from your personal life that you trained up, or were they agents that were doing a great job and you met them on a transaction and said, you need to be part of my team? What did that look like for you?
Yeah, interestingly, I don't recruit. All of the agents that I attract are organic. I don't have a recruiting campaign. I don't go out there to recruit people at all. The people that I have now are people that started with the brokerage, and I saw a lot of, I saw in them similar qualities to what I possess, which is, the work ethic, the passion, being a good person, following the golden rule, people before profits, right? So they had all of they're all very different, but they're just good people. And so that's where the quality comes from. Like if I put out an ad, I'm sure I could have, a lot of applicants who want to be a part of the team, but I'm just very selective in who I hire. I'd rather, not hire anyone, because one bad hire could really ruin your reputation. And the same thing with the brokerage. We don't have recruiting. Oftentimes you see all these different brokerages. That's all they do is recruit. You're nothing but a number. With us is really different. So, there is a series of steps that you have to, go through. We are very selective in who we hire, and we turn down a lot of people, to be honest with you. And sometimes if it's the wrong fit, we let them go. We just, we don't waste time just keeping them in here just to keep them. We're doing them a favor. It's better for them if we let them loose, because it has to be a good fit.
So what is the structure of your own production team? I mean, I hear that you're very involved, and it sounds like you're hands-on with the clients. So what kind of support do you have? I mean, what are they handling on your behalf, or, to free you up to do more of?
Yeah. So I have, we're also like a marketing agency that sells a lot of real estate. So I'm big on marketing. I'm huge, because I believe that in order to, especially in today's age, in order for properties to get sold for top dollar quickly, it needs to be marketed properly. You need to get it everywhere. So with that being said, I have an in-house marketing company or agency, and that consists of a director of marketing, SEO strategist, a digital marketer, a social media expert, and a designer. That's kind of my 5 team members there. We also have a production company. We're big into doing a lot of videos, and so we have an in-house production company as well. For the back-end support, I have a client care service specialist, Sylvia, who's absolutely amazing. I also have a listing coordinator and a transaction coordinator. And then I have everyone from a runner, right? Someone's going to be putting out signs and things like that. And I have someone that, that just handles the rest of the team as far as inputting listings into the MLS and just back-end support stuff. So I have it all covered. So I have, it takes an army, especially when you're producing at this level. You can't do it by yourself, right? And I would be doing my clients a disservice if I tried. So I believe that to have a positive experience, you just have to make sure you have the right people in place that do the job better than you do.
Sure. So are you working with buyers still as well?
I am more of a listing agent, and my team handles most of the buyers. And I'm not saying I walk away from a buyer, not at all, but I'm very selective on who I decide to work with. A lot of times, buyers, they're just lookers. So we have a process for just finding the right buyer. So yeah, the gist of it is, yes. So I work with buyers. I do. I'm more of a listing agent. And I do have a team that handles all of that because we're big listers. At any given time, we have anywhere between 75 and 100 listings. And so you can only imagine how many calls come from all that. So you really do need a team in place to be able to handle all the volume.
Sure. So one of my questions I have for you is, you mentioned a lot of marketing, and somebody recently told me, be a lighthouse. When it comes to recruiting or sales, be a lighthouse, meaning like make yourself visible and attract the kind of people that you want to work with, whether that be on your team or whether it be clients. Do you feel like at the level that you're at, selling 225 homes a year is no small feat? Are you still really active in daily lead generation activities, or is the bulk of your business more because you have built such an amazing lighthouse that people know who you are and they're flocking to you? Does that make sense?
It does, yeah, and that's a great question. And I never stop lead generation. So my main role is lead generation, and that is part of marketing. So yes, I have built this lighthouse, and people, I have billboards, and I have things out there, and commercials, and all things marketing. I have a big digital presence. However, you also, you're a lead generator. You have to. You're, as a listing agent, as a team leader, your job has to be lead generation. That's what I'm really good at. We don't have an ISA. Everything is done, we have systems in place where leads get round robin and all of that. But I'm always constantly lead generation. And one thing you can't fall asleep on is your past clients and referrals. That's a big source of leads right there. These are people that have done business with you, like you, and referral from them, goes a long way. So a lot of people sleep on that, and that's a huge source of my business, word of mouth. And I think just seeing me out there, people will say, "Oh, that's right, I remember her." So I don't really get the calls from the signs or the billboards. It's more of it's just in front of them at all time, right?
It's just top of mind.
Yeah, top of mind always.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting you say that about how many people fall asleep on keeping in touch with the past clients, because we have some really interesting numbers year to date. We kind of came in 2018, as mortgage rates spiked a year ago. There was a shift in the environment in the lending world, because a lot of lenders had been doing heavy refinances for 10 years while rates had been low, and they really didn't have the relationships with the real estate agents for generating purchase referrals. And last year we noticed a shift in this energetic way in the market of lenders cold calling agents, desperately trying to now find those relationships to build their purchase business. And so we, as a lender, we decided we need to invest in our database to keep our clients in front of their agents, and that's going to be our value add. Like, we're going to do database marketing. So we started digging into our database really consistently last year. And year to date, 50% of our mortgage leads are a repeat referral from past client and Sphere. And of those clients, 50% of them are not working with the same agent. 50% of them have lost touch with their realtors, because the realtors admit that they don't keep in touch with their past clients, that they get so caught up with what's right in front of them. And it's a travesty to see this, to see so many agents that had a great experience. And I remember that first purchase from 2014 and how great it was and how great their agent was. And just because that agent lost touch, they're losing out on all this business. It's crazy, to be constantly on the hamster wheel when you have all this abundance waiting for you right in your database. So do you have a minimum standard for yourself in terms of what winning the day looks like, or what winning the week looks like? I mean, are you pretty time blocked? How do you approach your own process?
I have a calendar, and I stick to my calendar, and my calendar is always booked. It really is. I don't really have too much of a free time. Sometimes I try to take a day off here and there, but it's booked, and it's, I don't time block for certain activities, just because I'm constantly going on appointments. And so it's almost, my clients almost determine my calendar. I go on anywhere between 7 to 10 to 12 listing appointments a week. So, that, and every time I go on a listing appointment, sometimes I'm there for 3 hours. But I wish I could say that I'm more structured that way, but it's really hard in this business because things just come up all the time. But my advice would be, going back to what you had just said about following up with past clients. Real estate's a 90-10 rule. 10% of the agents do 90% of the business. And the reason is that because we are very structured. We don't, a lot of agents I see, they do a deal, they close on it, and then they have to start over, right? And they do it all over again. But if you treat the industry as treat this career as literally a full-time job, and not so much as independent contractor. If you're constantly putting in the effort and putting in the time and giving yourself 8 hours a day, get up at 9, end it at 5 or whatever it is, or 10 to 6. But during those hours, people forget to feed the pipeline. Right. And so, you're as good as your last sale, right? That's it. Once your last sale is done, that's it. You have nothing else unless you're constantly feeding the pipeline. And so I've seen too many people in this business where they have 5 or 6 or 7 or 10 closing in their pipeline. All of a sudden, half of them fall apart, and they just they stress out. They're like, oh my God, I'm done. And they leave the business. This business is not guaranteed. It's a commission business, and you can't count your money before you're at that closing table. You just can't. And a lot of agents, they do. They get a deal in the contract. They just say, okay, we're done. I can relax now. And I find that that's the problem with the business, is that people aren't, following up with their database. They're not doing the activities that they should be doing, like lead prospecting, networking, getting coached. There's so much to do. If you have free time in this business, you're doing something wrong.
Yeah. That's a good point. So one of my other questions for you is, I often ask folks, especially who have been in the business since before 2008, 2009, and you mentioned that your business has always continued to grow. What kind of challenges did you face, and how did you overcome during that transitional time of 08, 09, 2010? Because, we've been riding high for a while now, and it's been fun, right? The last 5 to 10 years have been pretty fun. So, I'm curious about any advice you have from experiencing a major market shift, and then how to prepare and anticipate if there would be another one in the future. Like, that's mindset, it's everything. But how did you navigate that?
That's a great question. So when the market shifted, I actually did that. Those were my best years, because I found that a lot of people were getting out of the business and the market wasn't saturated with agents. So, those that were really in it and took it seriously, like myself, kind of rose. So I actually did great during those times, because again, there wasn't all of these discount brokers and all these things in a seller's market. And it's not hard to sell a home, right? But when the market does shift, this is where, the cream of the crop will race to the top. So my advice to, those that are, that are new or that have been seasoned in the business, with market shifts, not everyone has experienced a market shift. If you're in the business less than 10 years, you have no idea what a market shift is. And it's scary. My advice is to diversify. So if you are an agent that strictly does or focuses on luxury high-end properties, start diversifying. Because when the market shifts, those properties are the first ones to sit on the market, and they're harder to sell. So diversify, not just focus on one niche or one area. Maybe start adding different markets to your plate, so that if one fails, at least you have others to kind of piggyback off. So that's my advice, and that's what I do now, knowing that the market, in anticipation of the market shift, we are diversifying. So we are not just focused on one area or one town. We are breaking into different counties, and we are, taking on all different price ranges.
I love that. Awesome. So what does the future hold for you? What are your big goals for the next year or two?
I get asked that all the time. I wish I had an exit strategy. I'm more of I have a commitment strategy. And right now I still love what I do, and I'm really focused. And, we're growing. And I don't know. I don't know exactly what it is. I have been doing a lot of keynote speaking and public speaking, and that's something that I really enjoy. So I think I'm going to start doing some of that, or more of that. And yeah, so I don't know what the future is going to hold, but definitely something, it's going to be in real estate. That's all I can say.
I love it. Well, I really appreciate you taking the time to be on the show. And if folks want to get in touch with you to hire you as a speaker or to join your team, what's the best way to find you and reach you and follow you and all that good stuff?
Yeah, so you can check out my email, which is actually, well, my website, michellepaisgroup.com, MICHELL, two L's and an E, Pais, PAIS, group.com, or you can just, follow me on social media at Michelle Pais or at the Michelle Pais. And yeah, that's how you can get a hold of me. All my contact links will be up there, so it's pretty easy.
Well, I love what you're doing. I love the energy you're putting out there, and I love your passion and commitment. It's magnetic. So thank you so much for sharing with us today.
Thanks for having me. I had fun.
Awesome. And for all of you watching or listening, as always, I implore you, if you love this content, please be sure to subscribe on YouTube or iTunes or both, and leave a review. It helps us continue to attract awesome guests like Michelle and help you live your best life. So have a great day, and thanks for tuning in.